What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Indiana Sports Show. We are your hosts, Derek Larger and Cody Felger. Guys, we had a pretty Colts-centric based one last show, so if you guys are interested in that, be sure to check that out. We will be having some more Colts talk as the next few weeks go on because camp is right around the corner. NFL season means it's almost here. So things are going to be kicking off in full swing. But right now, until that moment happens, we got a couple other things to discuss. And we wanted to kick this off really with the Indiana Fever. We didn't really get a chance to talk about them too much over the last few weeks. Part of that just being the fact that some of the stuff that was being talked about with the Indiana Fever and Caitlin Clark specifically, we didn't really want to get into the discourse of that because it really just didn't seem fair. But the WNBA All-Star game just happened yesterday from when we're recording this, and we felt like it would be a good time to talk about the Indiana Fever, whom, by the way, in their last 9 games are 7-2. They are currently sitting at the top of the Eastern Conference in the WNBA with a record of 17-10. And still have the number one offense in the WNBA, averaging over 100 points per game during this last 9-game stretch. Absolutely insane. And we have to talk about some of the big names when it comes to here. Shout out to Sophie Cunningham. Cody, I'm assuming you have seen the point that is taking over the entire internet. Seems
Yes.
like that's the only thing that Sophie Cunningham is thought of at this point is that person that points. So,
right. She's just like a god level rage baiter at this point, man.
Yeah, pretty much. So shout out to
funny.
Sophie. It's been hilarious. So, I mean, hopefully, if there's one thing she'll be remembered by, it's the point. That's pretty much it.
Right.
So we love it.
Right.
We love it. But we'll talk about the other big 3 here for the Indiana Fever, the 3-headed monster that is Caitlin Clark, Kelsey Mitchell, and Aaliyah Boston. We'll actually start with Aaliyah Boston here. Has been doing really great over this stretch of 9 games. In 8 of those games, she has accumulated 15-plus points, has been averaging 8.5 rebounds per game. And still, Cody, if I'm not mistaken, it might be close, but I think Aaliyah Boston is number 1 in the WNBA in certain criteria from shooting percentage. I know over the last 9 games has been shooting 64% from the floor. Right. So, I mean, not only doing very well from a number standpoint, but from an efficiency standpoint, off the charts. So, I mean, Aaliyah Boston drafted to this team just a couple years ago, right before Caitlin Clark, but she has just been phenomenal in what we've seen.
Yes, absolutely. It's really cool to see. You started to see the core of this Indiana team, right? Like you said, the 3-headed monster that Indiana and obviously, Leah Boston, a big part of that and what the Indiana Fever were able to do. And it's great to see, the Indiana, we know they can shoot the basketball, the lights out, but to have a player like Aaliyah Boston who can do a little bit of that work in the paint, like you talked about, 8, and she's also scoring as well. Like you said, 8 games of 15-plus points. Also, the rebounds as well are big, and she's very efficient at doing so. So, yeah, it's great to see that she's not just, a big in there, but she's actually effective at scoring as well. And she fits like a glove into what Indiana likes to do offensively. And like you said, a big reason why the Indiana Fever had the best offense in the WNBA is because Aaliyah Boston helps, in the interior a little bit more. Whereas we know Kelsey Mitchell, Caitlin Clark, what they can do from the outside, it's unprecedented. But yeah, it's great to see kind of this core kind of working together in a very good way there. So yeah, it's great to see. And honestly, Derek, after kind of a slow start to the season for the Indiana Fever, it's great to see them starting to figure it out, right? I mean, obviously, earlier on in the season, right around that 500 mark, at the beginning of June, and we started seeing them start to figure it out a little bit and then kind of backslide a little bit, in the middle of July, but then they started finding their groove, like we mentioned, in the last couple weeks here. And now they're really starting to find themselves. Like Caitlin Clark starting to find her shot a lot more now, just breaking records, doing things like we've seen her do in her time in the league. And it just seems like her confidence and her swagger, which never was lost per se, but it seems like she's starting to get that back to the level that we're used to seeing. And then obviously, Kelsey Mitchell, 11 straight games of 20-plus points. She's always been that offensive engine, but just having another elite scorer out there. I mean, Indiana has three elite players here. I mean, three all-stars, right? So it's great to see this big three really starting to live up to the hype here and really helping, when they're on, man, Indiana's really hard to beat. Like, they are one of the toughest teams. When they're all clicking, man, this is like an insane team to try to match up with because
yes,
like you said, any of these players, they can shoot you can shoot the lights out any given game here for you, whether it's from the outside with Clark and Mitchell, whether it's Leah Boston in the paint, like they can do it all. So yeah, I'd love to see this, man, and the big three really starting to form that cohesiveness with this team, and Indiana's starting to really find their groove here, and that's great to see because we know how it started off kind of rough, and it was kind of a point where we saw a lot of people saying, "Hey, Stephanie White, like, what's the deal, man? Like, maybe we need to fire her, and we need to look for another coach." Which I'm like, just give it time. We're really early in the season. Let's just wait and see a little bit. And it's good to see that Indiana obviously is now starting to really find their groove offensively and even more defensively. They've definitely had their issues defensively this year. So it's good to see not only are they clicking offensively, but they're starting to get a little bit more of an identity defensively, which I think is huge. I mean, Derek, we saw that with the Pacers, right? They were so good offensively, but they lacked defense. And when they started actually playing some defense, they started winning some more basketball games. So I think the same is true here for the Indiana Fever as well. We know they can score any given night, but can they play some defense? Can they do some things that they haven't necessarily always done this year? And when you get into the playoffs, man, you're going to have to play some defense. You can't just be putting up all these numbers because we know the level of competition, it gets harder. I mean, we've seen this time and time again with these historic great offenses of Indiana, whether it's from the football field or whether it's on the basketball court. But defensively, you haven't always been able to live up to it, and that's cost you. So I definitely think it's great to see that Indiana's starting to find their groove on both sides of the ball.
Yeah, absolutely. And mainly for the Indiana Fever at the beginning of the year, it was just all the fouls. Just too many fouls, girls getting into foul trouble. And it just caused a rift in how the offense wanted to go. And there were times where Sophie Cunningham and Caitlin Clark had to be pulled out late in games because they were on the verge of foul trouble so early on. It's just hard to get that sort of thing going. And like you said, obviously defense, it ends up helping to win championships. It does. But ultimately, if you're a WNBA team that's averaging 100 points per game, it's going to be hard for any team to keep up with you. And as you said, with Kelsey Mitchell, 11 straight games of 20-plus points. Kelsey just this year, I don't know what has happened, but just this year, it feels like she is just so much more comfortable in her role of just being a pure scorer. And I don't know what it's been. I don't know if it's just been the type of role that Stephanie White and the Fever have tried to place on her. She's always been, in my opinion, the best baller when it comes to this Indiana Fever team over the years. Like, she's like, when you look at who has the best ball skills, who has the best ability to just create those one-on-ones, if you got someone in front of you, how are you going to create a shot? Kelsey Mitchell is the one that typically does that. And I think also just this year, the pressure with Caitlin Clark, and people are trying to force her into things, right? And then, of course, when Caitlin Clark first got here, her and Aaliyah Boston connected so well because people always gravitate towards Caitlin. She dumps it off to Aaliyah Boston. Aaliyah Boston gets an easy layup. That was how it was in their first year. And now you've got defenses so cornered in on this pick and roll style offense that Caitlin Clark and Aaliyah Boston are doing. Now Kelsey is getting a lot more free opportunities to do what she wants to do, which has allowed her to have this more open and free realm to just go and score at her own level. And my gosh, I mean, some of these games that she's been having, it's been great for Caitlin too, because Caitlin hasn't had to go out and score 25 points a night and still get around those 10 assists a game. She hasn't had to do that. Kelsey's been the one that's been the primary scorer over the last few weeks. And Caitlin, she's had her fair share of huge scoring outputs, but hasn't had to do it at the same level that Kelsey's done it. But of course, we talk about the other game that Clark had just a few nights ago, a 45-point, 10-assist game over the Storm. I mean, my gosh, the first time in WNBA history to have a 45-plus point, 10-plus assist game. I mean, it's for the history books. Caitlin Clark continues to do things that we just never see in the WNBA. It's phenomenal. And it is just another point of the Indiana Fever just continuing to do what they do, which it's been awesome to watch. I hope that they continue to keep that up. Like I said, they got momentum on their side right now. If they can keep that going, then hopefully some good things will continue to happen for the Fever.
Yeah, I feel like for Clark specifically, we've kind of seen it like the highs are high. Like we've seen the record breakers and things like that. We've also seen some low lows this year from Caitlin Clark. So it's good to see her starting to trend back in the right direction a little bit. And you're hoping that consistency can stay. Like you said, she doesn't have to go for 45 and 10 per night, but can she be a little bit more consistent? Can she limit the turnovers? Can she do some of the things that, she's been doing recently that I think help you out? Almost like not try to do too much. And I think, like you said, with the addition of a Kelsey Mitchell, that definitely helps you out in that department for sure. I mean, Kelsey Mitchell, what can you say about her, man? Career highs in points, in field goal percentage, and 3-point percentage. Like she's doing a little bit of everything this year, and she's really breaking out for the Fever, which is fantastic to see. And not like you said, she's always been a scorer, but it seems like efficiency wise, she's just been a little bit better this year than she's been in years past. So it's great to see, like you said, that it doesn't all fall squarely on the shoulders of Clark there shooting the basketball. So yeah, I love it, man, that you have two elite scorers there. And then you have obviously Aaliyah Boston and what she can do in the interior. So it does seem like you have a really good core here that you're building around and everything like that. So yeah, all that to say, man, I'm excited for where the Fever are going, and I'm hoping that they can continue to build off this momentum because, like I said earlier, like you were at a crossroads earlier this year where anything could happen. The bottom could come out very easily, but credit to them, credit to the girls. They got together. They figured it out. Sure, you'll have off nights, but you know what? Like it seems like they're starting to figure it out here as a team, and that's all you can ask for, man, because you're going to face controversy. You're going to face adversity as a team. It's just how do you rise above that and how do you come together? No matter if it's basketball or whatever sport, you got to be able to lock in, focus in, and figure out what kind of team you are. And the Fever so far look like they're becoming a team that's definitely going to be competing in the, for a championship this year if they continue.
Yep, absolutely. All right, we transition from one Indiana basketball team to another Indiana basketball team, the Indiana Pacers. And really not as much with the Pacers, but one particular player in Tyrese Haliburton, who surprised all Pacers fans with another workout video that he was doing in the gym. And this was him showing off his dunking skills, throwing a ball up and dunking between the legs and getting up there and showing off the hops. Basically 13 months since his previous injury that he suffered at the end of the 2024-2025 season. So it is great to see Haliburton back doing those things. I mean, I don't know if you had saw it, but there was this strange report of like somebody saying like, oh yeah, somebody fully expects that Tyrese Haliburton will be back at the start of the season. And it's like, I'm pretty sure we had already said that, but like, why are you saying that now? I have no idea. But right. I mean, if there was any indication to suggest that Tyrese Haliburton physically isn't like pretty much back to full pace at this point, I mean, I think that video pretty much sums it up for you.
Yeah, and certainly great to see Tyrese looking great, man, and little bulked up. He hit the gym, in his recovery time. So
Yeah.
could we see a new Tyrese Haliburton this year? A little bit more physical Tyrese Haliburton this year. Certainly wouldn't be mad at that. So yeah, great to see stuff, man. And obviously after seems like for Pacers fans, it's been kind of rough, man, watching the Knicks take home a championship, watching, obviously you miss out on that draft lottery. We need some good news here, man. So good to see that Tyrese looks to be fully back this year. And like you said, with that comment, it's like, wasn't that the expectation? Like, we expected Tyrese was going to be back. So whatever, but good to see, man, that he is back, and excited, man, to see him in action here come October, and obviously preseason and all that stuff. But man, it's just exciting to get a player like Tyrese back, because you desperately missed him last year.
Oh yeah. I mean, he's the engine of your offense, man. I mean, he is the guy that makes the ball movement happen and creates a little bit of offense too at the same time. I mean, That's your 20-point, 10-assist guy. I mean, if missing that and an offense that desperately needs it, yeah, I mean, they definitely needed him. And of course, we're also talking about another player that we were wondering if he would join the Pacers in free agency, and that was LeBron James. Remember, Alex Golden tweeted about it. So he tweeted wrote I believe it was a Sports Illustrated article about if LeBron James would choose the Indiana Pacers for some reason. It went pretty viral. It got a lot of eyes, a lot of attention on it. And he almost felt bad for, basically telling people that the very, 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 very slim possibility might be a reality. And LeBron James basically told Haliburton to his face that, yeah, that was not happening. Yeah. And so that ruined everybody's faith of it, and then proceeds to sign with the Philadelphia 76ers yesterday. So, yeah, I mean, Cody, did you have any confidence in it at all? And whether or not you did, he's in Philly now. How does that shape up the East going into this?
Man, that Philly squad, man, that's going to be nasty this year.
Yeah.
The East is, it's going to be tough, man. It's going to be a tough slog. I mean, Indiana's going to be right in there with anybody. But, man, the East got really good this year. I mean, Giannis to the Heat. I mean, on top of, obviously, all the other moves that happened. Yeah, it's gonna be a tough one, man. But I do think Indiana has the team to do it. I do. And as good as Philadelphia added is like, hey, like I do think Indiana can square off with the best of them. But yeah, it definitely sucks. You would have liked to see him stay in the West for sure. But yeah, man, it's gonna be interesting to see how these teams match up this year, because Philly really did a lot this year.
Philly, yeah, and like you said, Giannis to the Heat. I mean, good Lord, and we already know, even if the Celtics don't have Jaylen Brown anymore, the Celtics will still be a good basketball team. Heck, the Knicks just won a freaking championship. So, I mean, yeah. And, say what you will about Cleveland. Cleveland will still be really good over there with Donovan Mitchell and James Harden, regardless if they're ready for a championship or not. I mean, you got 6 or 7 teams that legitimately have an argument for why they could win a championship. Oh, man, so, I mean, it's going to be a long, long time. And even Hallie had some things to say about Zubac, saying that he thinks he's going to be really great this year, and that he was talking about him on Pat McAfee's show, said that you're really going to like him. He's a phenomenal player, and he thinks with him being back and just this squad being back at full strength in a new direction, thinks that they can get back to contending for a championship. I mean, again, remember, this was a Indiana Pacers team that less than 2 years ago was in a Game 7 with the Oklahoma City Thunder and could have potentially won it had it not been for Haliburton's injury in the first place. Right. And I think all they've done is get better from that squad that they were in 2024. Now, is it enough to win it? I don't know. Some other teams have done some great things as well, but this is a better Pacers team than what they were in 2024. You can only hope it's enough.
Yeah, I mean, I do think that outside of obviously landing a top 3 pick, which was out of their control, I do think that this is honestly about as much as you would want if you're an Indiana Pacers fan at this point, right? You got your squad, you can compete with the best of them. You're getting your star point guard back. You got a top center here that actually can provide some, things that you were lacking in your 2024 run. I'll just put it that way. You actually have a legitimate center, and you have some depth too. Kelly Oubre coming in, he's going to provide some quality depth for you there, position you desperately needed at a backup wing there. And then, of course, you have some young guys that you really feel like decent about there. And you still have guys like TJ McConnell, Obi Toppin, and a few other guys that, they're really good players off the bench for you. So I really think that if you're looking at Indiana, I look at them and I say, you got your starters, who are going to be your five, but you got some good depth as well. And I really believe that Indiana, if they can, build off the momentum that they had after that 2024, 2025 championship run there, I really think, man, anything's possible with them. It's just going to be, for me, it's a matter of the cohesiveness here, because some of these guys haven't played together for a while with Tyrese's case, and obviously with adding Oubre into the mix as well. And then, of course, Zubac didn't play with Tyrese last year because Tyrese wasn't there, and he even missed some time. And so it's just a matter of, I think, cohesiveness with this team. But we've seen they're more than capable, man, of making it happen. And I'm excited to see what this year holds now with a fully healthy Pacer squad. And I think it's championship or bust, man. It's got to be at this point.
Yep, they got a chance. So we'll hope that they can take it. But now let's move on to another part of the show, and maybe one of the bigger pieces of news in the last week when it came to Indiana sports, and it comes from the Hoosiers. Mm-hmm. And the Indiana Hoosiers just landed the biggest recruit in Indiana sports history at the school. They landed 5-star wide receiver Monshawn Sales, class of 2027. Sales was currently linked to Texas, Bama, OSU, and LSU, as well as Indiana, and chose Indiana. Like I said, the biggest recruit in the school's history. And as it currently sits right now, the Indiana Hoosiers are ranked 31st in the nation in recruiting for the class of 2027. And that also includes another 4-star wide receiver from that class, and Brandon Sharp. So, Cody, Indiana, we talked about it last year. They obviously, the way Indiana was, they were coached very well. They obviously brought in a bunch of transfers from last year. That's what everybody kept talking about, right? It was the transfers that helped bring this. Obviously Mendoza, a couple of those wide receivers and running backs, and and some of the guys on defense that were brought in. So, a bunch of transfers helped make it what it was. But now you have the biggest recruit in the school's history, a 5-star, the 20th overall recruit in the entire class, signs to a school like Indiana. What does that say about Kurt Cignetti and this team and the direction that this school is headed into?
A couple of years ago, if you'd have told me that a 5-star wide receiver chose IU over Texas, over Alabama, over Ohio State, LSU, I would have laughed at you.
Now, I will say this. Reality. It also does help that the 2 wide receiver recruits they have in that class, they're both from Indiana. So I will say that.
Sure.
There is definitely a perk there of them being from Indiana. But like you said,
5 years ago, that's not happening.
Yeah.
3 years ago, that's not happening. So, yeah, you're absolutely right. What Kurt Cignetti has done, how he has transformed this program, it's just sensational, man. And, Indiana also had a pretty darn good class this year as well. So, yeah, it's really cool to see just from a football perspective, from somebody who lives in Indiana, as an Indiana sports fan in general. It's just great to see good football being played at the collegiate level, because that hasn't always been the case with Indiana. So I love to see that, man. And it's just great to see that Indiana is now starting to get, like, we saw, like, what was the stat? I can't remember it offhand, but just the amount of 5 stars or 4 stars from some of the schools that were being played in the college football playoff. And then you had Indiana as kind of the outlier, right?
Yeah.
But now they're starting to actually get some of the players who are at that level
Yep.
recruiting wise. And so, yeah, they're doing a phenomenal job over there. And I'm just excited to see what that's going to look like, man, to get a player like Sales. I mean, in sensational stuff, man. I'm so excited to watch Indiana football under Kurt Signetti, because if this is just the beginning, what's it going to look like in the next number of years? If they are now getting legitimate talent, like 5-star top 20 talent in classes, man, that's going to be really, really crazy, man. So, yeah, that's always great to see. And like you said, one of the better classes in 2027. Also, I'll just throw this in there as well. Notre Dame has a pretty darn good class as well. I want to kind of throw that in there. They have a couple of your former Buckeyes coming over this last year. I know we haven't gotten much recruiting news because we started the show only about a month or two ago. So we haven't got much into the recruiting news. But I tell you what, man, IU and Notre Dame are having some fantastic classes and also transfer portals as well. So, I mean, they're going to be some legitimate teams this year. I'm excited to see both these teams play.
Yeah. Notre Dame bringing in both Quincy Porter and Mylan Graham, certainly some good pieces there. Just a couple guys that were 4 stars, 5 stars, but just with how loaded the wide receiver room is at Ohio State. I mean, again, over the last few years, you've had Jeremiah Smith, Carnell Tate, and Emeka Egbuka. Now you have Chris Henry Jr. coming in, who's also a 5-star. So, I mean, it's just, it's rags to riches when it comes to Ohio State's wide receiver room right now. It's just all over the place. But yeah, I mean, you're right, Cody. I mean, a move like that, again, obviously from Indianapolis, Indiana, Brendan Sharp from Brownsburg, Indiana. But you're right. Like in years past, 2 guys of that caliber, they're not saying, oh, I want to stay home in Indiana and do all this stuff. They're going to the state next door, Ohio State, most likely. Or, they go down south and take a university down there that, has all these things. But now, just with how much Kurt Signetti has stabilized Indiana, and now when you start seeing, and you know what, Cody? This is the start of when the tidal wave is going to start happening for Indiana. So obviously Indiana has reached the peak, but honestly, I think this is at the point now where you become stable as a staple in college football, because Kurt Signetti did it without really recruiting, right? He had only been there for 2 years, and he brought in mostly transfers to do what they did last year, right? But now you're recruiting at a very high level. And of course, it's Indiana. There's not a lot they can really offer over the other universities like Ohio State or LSU or Texas or Bama or things like that. It's not as big. I mean, you're going to miss out on some recruits. But when that first 5-star hits, like it just did now, then the next one comes in. And then the next 2 come in. And then there's 4, and then there's 5. It keeps coming at that point. So now you start seeing it. It becomes a wave. It just takes one of them. And then if it works out for them, it's like it was at Ohio State for this wide receiver room, right? With Brian Hartline and what they've done, and how Ryan Day has, even before Ryan Day, when Urban Meyer was there and now Ryan Day's done it, at some point, you just start doing it so many times that when enough guys out of one university just keep dishing out first-round overall picks or first-round picks, every commit sees that and they're like, why do you not want to go to Ohio State? Right? So Indiana, to steal someone that should have very directly gone to Ohio State, and to steal him and to bring him, and then if Sales gets drafted in 3 or 4 years from now, and he gets drafted in the first round, and somebody's like, wow, Indiana just dished out a first rounder at wide receiver, I want to go there now. And then it just keeps going. It keeps going. So, Signetti already reached the top without having any of this, but now this is where the tidal wave starts coming in and keeps you afloat. Is when these recruits, these high value recruits, start coming in. So Indiana football it's got a great future in front of it. As long as Signetti keeps doing what he's doing, this is an Indiana football team that's going to be contending for national championships every year from this point forward.
Yeah, it's great to see, man. It's great to see that there's a couple football programs that are the top of the top. Like when you're talking about the big dogs, they're in that conversation, and that's great to see for sure. Like Indiana for so many years. I mean, I remember going, Derek, back 5-10 years ago. I mean, it's crazy to see the difference. I mean, it's honestly amazing. I love it so much because it's like a team that's just been so bad. Like it's kind of like for me, like the Lions a couple years ago. Like they've been so bad for so many years. Obviously, they haven't won a championship, but like a team like that you're like, the fans deserve it. And they do.
Oh, yeah.
They deserve it so much because they've been through so much crap for so many years. So you just
Indiana football has never been relevant before until, or at least not in the majority of these people's lifetimes. And now all of a sudden they are a top 10 program in this country easily.
Yes.
So
it's just awesome. Like regardless of who you root for, it's cool.
And I'm all for the Big Ten getting more recognition. I'm an Ohio State guy through and through, but but Indiana being good in the Big Ten is good for the conference, and it's good for college football. So even though the SEC heads keep trying to say that the SEC is better, they're not. The Big Ten has won 3 championships in a row. And it looks like it's only going to continue this year because if it's not Notre Dame, then it's either going to be Ohio State, it's either going to be Indiana, or it's going to be Oregon. So it's going to be one of those 3. So that's pretty much it.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, great to see that Indiana obviously landing Sales. That's a fantastic, obviously, addition there. I'm excited to see that. And I'm just excited to see college football. It's coming back. NFL football is back. I mean, Derek, there's truly no sport like football. I just love it so much.
There isn't, man.
Nothing gets me more excited. Like I love basketball. I love watching the Pacers. Love watching the Fever. But I don't know, man. There's just something different about football. Like there just is.
It's just the frequency of the games. It's a different status of it too. Like I mean, it's the same thing with like baseball and all this other stuff. But like you can play back to backs when it comes to basketball and baseball and all these other things, but football and I know unfortunately in the NFL now we're getting a commissioner who is trying so hard to make sure that there's games every single day of the week, and I hate that.
Yeah.
It's just that there is a time lapse that you have to wait for these players to be able to play games. You have to wait. You can't play this game every day. You have to only play it once every so often to allow the best performance to come out of these players.
Yep.
And that's why it's so great, because knowing that you only get one chance to watch a game every week. And that's what's fun about football.
I agree with that 100%. So, well, anything else, Derek? I think that pretty much covers it right now. I mean, yeah. Colts are coming back to camp here. I believe Wednesday is their first practice, so they'll probably arrive either the day it drops Monday. This episode drops on Monday. They may be arriving then, or Tuesday, one of the two. I'm sure we'll hear from Shane Steichen, possibly Ballard, possibly some coordinators, players, things like that, and everything like that. But I'm just excited to get back to that. And then college football is obviously coming up quickly, and excited for the Fever, man, if they continue building upon what they're building upon, and can continue the momentum. I'm excited to see the Fever in the postseason. And obviously Indiana Pacers still got some time here, but I'm excited to see them come October.
Yeah, absolutely, man. So fun stuff, guys. Colts football right around the corner. Indiana Hoosiers and Notre Dame killing it in recruiting right now. Indiana Fever playing at a great right now. Pacers, there's high optimism for Haliburton coming back. Purdue, we just need some life out of you. Other than that, everything
other than basketball, Purdue's good at basketball.
Yeah, give us something else, and then we're in a great spot when it comes to Indiana sports right now. So
like if IU should be anything, you never know with new coaches coming in and bringing their guys in.
Just takes the right coach.
My brother's a really big Purdue fan, so he just has no expectations at this point. So I really hope that they're like, if not great this year, I'm hoping that they're competitive at least, and they can show some signs of improvement, as a program, because it's been so bad for so many years. I mean, it was kind of like IU and Purdue were kind of in the same category where they were just not really that great year in and year out. And then obviously IU got Signetti and everything changed. So I'm hopeful.
Purdue has had some, and Purdue, to their credit, in the last 20 to 30 years of football, they have had a couple of seasons where they've had a couple of players that have gone through and done some great things, more so than Indiana. But obviously now Indiana has the best coach, and it has obviously catapulted them to the Premier Leagues. Purdue not at that level yet, but we'll still have basketball. Purdue's a great university. I love the football field that they have.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's really cool. Just, their football team sucks. And I can say that because you know what? I have only been to Purdue once in my life, and I went to watch an Ohio State football game and proceeded to end up losing to Purdue.
No way. You went to that one?
Lost. I've been to Purdue one time, and it was Ohio State versus Purdue when Ohio State was number 2 in the nation and got beat by Rondale Moore and those freaking Purdue idiots. and I ended up losing, dude. I left that game in the third quarter, dude. I was done. I hated that. It was the worst night ever. So
that's hilarious.
I tell you, there's one of the few places that Ohio State people hate going to because no matter how good the team is, we know at one point or another that number 2 Ohio State team lost to a Purdue team that had no business beating us, and they beat us anyway. So it's one of those stadiums you're super superstitious.
Yeah. And you know what? Like, I was just looking at, just out of curiosity, for like their class this year. And it's not actually that bad. I think they're the 60th ranked class. So it's like, it's not great, but it's not that bad, to be honest with you.
As far as recruiting or as far as transfers?
Just overall. So transfer rank, they're actually 48th. Overall ranked the 60th.
So they're the middle of the pack, basically.
So I mean, but they got a couple 4 stars. Like maybe they show some improvement. I mean, it couldn't have been much
worse than what they were last year. I mean, I think they only won 2 games last year, if I'm not mistaken.
Let's see.
2 or 1, I can't remember.
They always have that first game where they like place like Ball State or something.
They almost beat Michigan last year. Gosh, I was watching that game and I was hate watching so bad. And Purdue had every opportunity to beat Michigan because Bryce Underwood sucks. But they just couldn't do it offensively. Just couldn't do it. And I was so mad.
Yeah, they were 2-10 last year, like you said, and you just think, man, if they can show any signs of improvement, that's great. But anyway, let's wrap this thing up.
Yeah,
man.
Let's wrap it up. But enough ranting. Thank you, guys. Yeah. Hopefully, it was a good show. I enjoyed it. This has been another one, guys. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed, and be sure to let us know in the comment section what you think. Until next time, guys, have a good one.